in that attack, but they were neither, they were not killed or injured, so they were not part of my statistics, but they were evacuated. And in terms of when they will go back, we believe that by the time schools reopen, we'll have gotten the situation back to order. So I'm sure by the time schools reopen at the end of this month, we'll have reversed the situation there. Those teachers should be able to return to work. The other question was why teachers are being attacked inside police stations. I've explained, and you know, this is the danger of announcing some of the measures that we are taking. You know, that's why you find my statement is the way it is, deliberately. Because it was made public that the non-local teachers are residing in police stations for their safety. So it became easy for these terrorists to target them from there. As to why, for instance, they would attack and kill the teachers and not police officers, part of it is divide and rule. You attack and overpower police posts if the numbers are not adequate to withstand the insurgents or the terrorists. But deliberately they will just kill the teachers and leave out the police officers. You know, it's up to them. You can't tell a terrorist you must kill everybody. It's their way of doing things. Because those deaths are terror-driven and they are supposed to communicate a certain message. And that message is divisive and is whimsical to the terrorists. But over and above that, I have said that because of the changing nature of tactics, most of the teachers actually have been killed while traveling. The ones that have been killed inside police stations are a few in the last few years. How prepared are we now that there is an influx of Al-Shabaab militia from southern Somalia? We are prepared as aware because we already know where the problem is. And I think it is fair because, again, Chair, you said that 37 teachers, which is true, is what we have in our records of teachers who have died in the last 10 years in that area, which is a big number. Even one teacher is a big number. But it's not just teachers. We have also lost security officers. Many more security officers have lost their lives in the last 10 years. In fact, in the last 2.5 months, we have lost 30 security officers in that region, including National Police Service officers, Kenya Defence Force officers, and some of our elite formed units in the National Police Service who have died in the line of duty in that general area. In 2.5 months, nearly 30, about 20, actually 29. Now the 37 teachers is over 10 years. The security officers' statistics is the last 2.5 months. So I think that should be contextualized that way. And then you also asked, Chair, other professionals. We haven't had many other segments of society affected by this problem, except road workers, engineers. We have lost a few engineers. I think this year we have lost like four engineers who are road engineers in that Ijara corridor, Lamu Garissa, Isiolo corridor. We've lost some engineers. We also lost early in the year, I think around January, 5 other Kenyans, who included 3 hydrologists who are actually digging boreholes near the border of Kenya-Somalia border. So mainly it is contractors who have been affected, and then the teachers. We are not yet, we have not registered the death of other segments of society. Then if we remove the non-local teachers, I want to agree with the sentiments. I think the building of the local communities to generate their own teaching fraternity or teaching force should be a natural process to empower that community. It should not be driven by the fact that teachers from elsewhere are being attacked. That would be a very dangerous policy, because you're ceding ground to terrorists and telling them because you're killing these people, we remove them from there. So I want to support the member who said that should not be policy. It cannot be our policy as government, as a country. Those teachers should stay there as long as it is possible. But in the normal order of empowering our communities and every part of our country to have its own workforce, that process can proceed on those lines. Then the other issue was why Ethiopia has had less attacks. Again, you know, the way terror works. Terror is not scientific. You know, is deliberate. And I think the member who spoke about these terrorists having an agenda against our country spoke to it. That the grievances that perhaps the terrorists are more on our side, on our part as Kenya than other countries. And that's why perhaps we have received a little more brand than our neighboring countries. Going forward, Chair, I want to assure members that just as we have had other problems and they have come and gone, we will get this problem done. I must also say that the recent wave of attacks will be contained once the modernization program of our equipment gets underway, and we've made some very good progress, and that's why I'm very hopeful in the coming weeks, because we are modernizing a number of our equipments, our capabilities in that region. That, together with community-led, government-organized onslaught against these militias, should set that region free in the coming weeks and months. If I've left out anything, you will let me know. Chair, I am aware also, I think there's a member who asked whether we are aware some of the areas are so remote, there are no security agencies even to report crime to. It is true. Of course, there are unique developmental and structural and systemic long-term problems in northern Kenya compared to other parts of the country. And those are the hard questions we must ask ourselves if we have to get security right in that region so that we achieve the same standard of security as we have in other parts of the country. Then we must open that area to development, build roads, build water facilities, electricity, mobile connectivity, which is reasonable enough. Otherwise, it is not enough to secure a large area. And for the benefit of members, some of those areas, some of those locations are the size of sub-counties, if not more. And it's not possible to police those areas without the infrastructural support. The other challenge we have again is that, as I have said, these unique challenges require more of the elite formations of our police personnel than the general policing personnel, because the weapons the militants use are sophisticated, the tactics are sophisticated, and therefore we are investing more in the formed units. And going forward, we as a policy will be reducing the general duty police personnel in that area and the similarly situated areas, so that we put more specialized units that are able to deal with sophisticated crimes and sophisticated threats to security. We have more personnel of that type as opposed to general duty police, which we can reserve for areas that do not have as complicated threats as northern Kenya. Then there was the issue of telephone masts. We are engaging the MNOs to make sure that they support us with communications. We've had some damages, especially I think last month we got one major mast which is quite significant in that area. Prior to the latest attack, that mast was attacked. It was guarded by NPRs, but I think the terrorists managed to overpower our NPRs, and that mast is being repaired, and we are asking the MNOs to support us, and also the Universal Service Fund through the Communications Authority to make sure that we increase our mobile telephone network in that general area, to make sure that we expand our communications capabilities and match it with the current threats.
Are you through, Waziri?
Yes.
So we'll come for the second and last round of questions. I'll start with the Honorable Orero, Honorable Kisairo. You introduce yourself before you, Honorable Ann and Honorable Maungu. This time a question, not a presentation. Thank you, yes. Honorable Orero.
Mimi naitwa Mwalimu Orero, mbunge wa Kibra. Bwana CS, our colleagues tell us that Mandera is 60% controlled by Al-Shabaab. Are you aware of this, and what are you doing? Two, I have seen that the last 1 week you deployed brutal force to deal with innocent demonstrators. If you can use this brutal force along the borders, don't you think you can stop these Al-Shabaabs? Now, three, is it such a coincidence that all heads of security operators in this country come from northern Kenya? And why have they failed to deal with the Al-Shabaabs? You have just said that you have stopped the opening of the border. That is theoretical. The border is not stopped, it is opened. And that is why we have Al-Shabaabs in this country. Why can't you advise the relevant authorities that this border should not be opened? Now, you have also said you are forming you have formed units which are scaled. You are saying you are going to form. This country is one of the countries, and we are highly ranked that we have special units. Now, why can't you use these special units to deal with the sophisticated Al-Shabaabs instead of using the special units to look for an armed people in this country? Now, lastly...
Honorable Morero. Honorable Morero, you need to indicate who are unarmed and who have been looked upon.
The demonstrators like us.
You need to be...
yes. Is it in order to make security issues that are very pertinent to this country with the issues of demonstrations, where we end demonstrators armed against Article 37 of the Constitution that talks about peaceful demonstrations?
Yes, and I think, Orero, you need to know 37 teachers and more unreported have died. So we don't need to trivialize this with demonstrations. We know demonstrations are there, but we are talking about a very serious issue, and you introduce yourself as a teacher. So kindly address this issue of teachers, and I hope teachers are watching at you.
That is what I am saying, because it is the Al-Shabaabs attacking the teachers. In fact, when I was a teacher, I was being transferred to Northeastern, I almost resigned. Because they have failed to protect the teachers in that area.
Chair.
Because of, please protect me, the chair. He will have his time. I know he was in NUT, I was also a member of the
union. Order members. Honorable Borero, stick to the questions so that we proceed.